guys, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another Booty-O's Boy Wrestling fan interview. Today, I am with the current Destiny World Wrestling Champion, the Crossbody Pro Wrestling Champion, the No Limits Wrestling Sean Style Champion, and one half of the Impact Tag Team Championship team, the North, the Walking Weapon, Josh Alexander. How's it going today?
It's going great, man. Can you hear me well? You all right?
Yeah, I can barely hear, just like I can't hear when I'm...
I get it all the time, so this is my chance to actually ask somebody.
So everything okay? COVID-19 starting to slow down a little bit, but you're also from Canada, so are you doing okay? Doing well?
Yeah, everything's good. Like, they're starting to ease restrictions up here now too, but they're being a lot more cautious than I'm reading people are in America. So, it'll take time, but I think we'll get back to normal soon. Hopefully before the end of the year.
Now, you're currently signed to Impact Wrestling, and you're one half of the tag team champions, the North, with your tag team partner Ethan Page. Where you guys have been around each other for a long time. Was it a very easy thing to become a tag team with the North, or what? How did that happen?
I mean, we were in a tag team before we were the North and Impact, so it was very easy for us to pick it up because you're talking about over a decade of experience tagging with each other. But for other people, I think tagging up randomly and getting thrown together would be difficult. For us, it was just, we both can finish each other's sentences in a wrestling capacity. We know where each other's going before the other person knows. So, it was definitely easy.
Now, like I just introduced you, I had my headgear on that I wear when I wrestle for my school. Why do you wear headgear, unlike other people in the world?
In 2012, I believe, I wrestled in a tournament called the JT Lightning Invitational. And in that tournament, I got kicked in the ear with an enziguri, and my ear swelled up much bigger than this headphone would even be. It looked like a baseball was stuck in my head, and my ear actually burst. Yeah, so I went to the hospital that morning, and I got, whatever done in Ohio that cost me a ridiculous amount of money. And I went back to the venue and I wrestled the second round of the tournament. And it's a 4-round tournament if you're going to the finals, which I was planning on doing. But in the third round, my ear was too bad. I was wrestling with my head all bandaged up. It looked like I just came out of a car accident. And actually, Michael Elgin backfist me in my injured ear. And then we used my actual legit injury as a storyline. And we were going into Absolution, which is like the WrestleMania of AIW. So it's going to be me and Michael Elgin. And, I think it was a 30-minute Iron Man match, if I'm correct. It was 8 years ago. But I came out for that match wearing headgear to protect the injury that I had sustained in the tournament, yada, yada, yada. It became the storyline at that point. But everybody was telling me in the back, from EC3 to everyone else that was there at the time, that looks badass. You're pulling that off. And I was just like, I feel like a goof. Like, sorry, but like, other than Rick Steiner, I don't think anybody's pulled off a headgear. Maybe Chris Candido for like a short period of time. But everybody kept saying that like it looked badass. It gave me something, because before that I was just a really handsome young man. And this made me look kind of rugged. So, I fell into it, luckily. And, it's come to define me, as people come up to me and they say, I didn't think anybody after Rick Steiner could pull that off. And this is people that were in WCW with him saying that to me. So, it's pretty cool.
Now, you're also in the singlet, like the Steiner brother.
Yep.
Did you always wear a singlet? And then the headgear kind of just fell into place after your unfortunate injury? So,
yeah, if I were to pick, I would be a trunks guy before I started wrestling, because I like Stone Cold Steve Austin. I liked all these people, and like I always aspired to have the body of like one of those Lex Luger types or something, those larger than life characters, Brock Lesnar. And problem being, when I started wrestling, I was like, in high school I was 300 pounds. I couldn't do a push-up. I was a big fat kid, and
sorry for that.
Oh no, it's fine. I like to me when I look in the mirror, I still see that kid, which is pretty much the driving force between how I work so hard every day now, and it's become a motivator for me. But I had to work really hard, so I covered up wearing a singlet for a lot of years, and now I've just come to be the guy that wears a singlet, and I like it. I if I think if I wore anything else, I would feel uncomfortable. Like this is my identity now. And luckily, not many people wear singlets anymore, so it's unique.
Now, according to my notepad here, on the talk of tournaments, the most recent tournament that I feel like I'm gonna butcher this name. I'm gonna try my best. The Jim Linham Memorial Tournament, and you won that. Congratulations. And the last tournament that you won before that was the King of Hearts tournament at Alpha One in 2018. And according to the data that I found on you, you have been in a lot of tournaments. Are you a tournament type of guy? I mean, the goal is to win in those. So, why so many tournaments, my friend?
I just always liked wrestling as much as possible. So you're going to meet a lot of wrestlers that would not want to wrestle more than once in an evening. And some days when I show up and I know I have to wrestle more than once, I regret it. But when I'm doing it, the act of actual wrestling, that's the only reason why I'm doing this. So to show up and be like at the IWC Super Indie tournament, I got to wrestle 3 times in a span of 3 hours. And that's 3 opportunities for me to get in front of a crowd with 3 different wrestlers and have 3 different matches. And that's exciting to me. So I've always been someone that embraces tournament matches. It's a different kind of pressure because, not to pull the veil back on wrestling, but you don't get to talk to your opponents and plan things. So you have to go out there, and I think tournaments is what, reveals what a real professional wrestler is, because the pressure's at its highest at that time. And if you can rise to the occasion, there's no better high. So that's it.
Now, one thing that I would also like to touch upon is your nickname, the Walking Weapon. Where'd that come into place in your career?
That was the creation of, the creative genius of Ethan Page. So he looked at me and he had just coined himself All Ego. This was almost 10 years ago now. And I was like, All Ego, I don't get it. And he had a way of explaining it that just, instantly he had every box checked of how to explain what this was and why it was awesome. And, since he's stuck with it for almost 10 years, and it's made a huge name for himself, obviously. So I looked at him, I was like, man, I need something like that. And he's like, I don't know, man. I don't think you need like anything. Like I look at you and you're just like a walking weapon, And I was just like, and he looked at me, he's just like, that's it. There you go. And I did it at a couple shows and it just caught fire.
It's a pretty intimidating nickname, I will be honest with you. I mean, I wouldn't want to face you. I mean, I would probably win. I have no experience yet, but
I mean, if you have enough money, sure.
I see where this is going. Now, as I hate to keep saying this over and over again, but when I did my research on you, your introduction to Impact Wrestling, you had another almost career-ending injury with your arm. Can you tell us about that and how it felt to be able to wrestle after that?
Well, neck injuries in wrestling are pretty common. I grew up watching favorites like Stone Cold and Edge and all these other people. So, it was something that every wrestler's conscious of, but you don't want to think about. And then it happened to me. And it was obviously devastating. But I've since used it as a driving force behind, making up for lost time. Because before my neck injury, I don't think I was half the wrestler or gave half the effort I do now. So it was something that motivated me to do even better. So, it was an unfortunate injury. It was the most pain I've ever felt in my entire life. It sucked for 9 months to be out and think that I was never going to wrestle again. But being able to come back and be better than I ever was, it's just a great story.
I mean, judging by the documentary, I don't know if you can call it that, but it was pretty insane. I mean, also Ethan's commentary on it, that was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Now you have been the Destiny World Champion, almost for about a year. Am I correct?
Let me think. Nope, I won it back in January. I lost it for 2 months before that, and I almost had it for a year before that. But yeah, pretty close. I've had it for a long time.
How does that make you feel as a wrestler that you have been a long-reigning champion?
I mean, there's a certain responsibility that comes with it. As I've gotten older in professional wrestling now, I'm doing this for 15 years. Uh, I embrace being a role model to other wrestlers, especially in the Canadian wrestling scene, because I think one thing that's sorely lacked is exposure for all these guys that are busting their asses up here. Just because we're across some line on a map that says we're in a different country, we're not going to get as much exposure as people in America. And it's just unfortunate because you cannot come to America and wrestle as a Canadian independent wrestler without a work visa. So it's pretty, hit or miss of who's going to get across and when, and that time could come to an end at any moment. So I've kind of been an ambassador for Canadian wrestling, or tried to make myself that, because I grew up being a fan of the Hart Foundation and Team Canada and TNA and all these people that were proud to be Canadian wrestlers. And I think Canada's turned out some of the best wrestlers of all time. So just to kind of like follow in that, Destiny is the premier company in probably all of Canada. They've booked the biggest matches with the biggest talent from across the world since their inception. And to be able to like win that title from Pete Dunne while he was UK champion for the WWE was just insane. And it's something that helped put Canadian wrestling on the map, not just me.
Now, on the topic of title reigns, you and your partner, Ethan Page, are almost a week away from being, you're already the longest reigning Impact Tag Team Champions, but you're going on a year in a week from now, somewhere. Is there going to be any celebration for you guys? How's that working out?
I didn't even think about that. Maybe he did, but I don't think we ever thought a year-long title reign would ever happen, especially with a tag team championship, something that seems to go back and forth so often. But when we found out we were tagging in Impact, we both looked at each other and we said we need to make tag team wrestling matter, because for a lot, you hear the Revival talking about this, or whatever their name is now, on all their interviews. They talk about how that's what they wanted to do in WWE. They wanted to make tag team wrestling matter again, and because in so many companies it falls by the wayside. You're never going to get a main event tag team title match on a show, because put it in the middle of the show. We wanted to make sure it was as good, if not better, than the main events that Impact was putting out. And I think we've done that, and that's why we've had this reign.
Now, you have kind of been in the shadows of Moose, you and Ethan. You were kind of like his alliance, and that's kind of ended now. What can you tell us, the fans, how that ended, and what ended it, pretty much?
Sorry, you cut out for a second there. Which alliance?
You and Moose and Ethan. Attacked the Rascals that one time.
We were in alliance when we first came in. We had a pretty good pay-per-view match. It didn't last very long. He just needed help with Sabu and RVD, and once I started having old man put me through tables and make me bleed and all this stuff, I just wanted to get out of there as soon as possible. So we never wanted to stick with Moose. It was just something that we had a goal at the same time. And Moose has gone on to, piss Ethan Page off to no end now. So with the TNA Heavyweight Championship. So I'm sure we'll round back to getting the Moose, because, he'll just be on the other side of the ring this time.
Now, like you just said, the TNA World Heavyweight Champion, it pisses Ethan off. It's pretty much only talking about that. Where are you in that picture? It's not an official title in Impact Wrestling right now. But are you ever going to get in that? If it does come back officially, are you going to be in the picture of that title?
I might, but I'm completely fine leaving that title for Ethan Page. We were both hardcore TNA fans growing up, because we were in our teens when it started. So we the inception of us coming into wrestling was because of guys like that were in TNA. I've always been an X Division fan. I was Samoa Joe, AJ Styles, Christopher Daniels, Chris Sabin, all those Sanjay Dutt. Like their stuff blew my mind. X Division matches were what I was tuning in for. So it didn't really matter to me. I would go for the X belt, is what I'm saying.
If that's your favorite and you want to go for that title, what was your favorite design of that? Because there's been many recreations of all the titles in TNA. What was your favorite one of the X Division?
I think they're all dog shit except for the big X, the big red X.
For the original one.
Yeah.
I was not expecting that.
That was what I was a fan. Like that's what I came into. That's my nostalgia. When I think back fondly, that's what I see. That big red X.
Wow. Now with being a professional wrestler, there's a lot of travel that goes into it. One of the most recent Impact traveling vlogs, it was in Nashville, Tennessee. You're pretty much the main driver when you're with Ethan. Can you tell us what exactly happened on that highway part? Because like you were heading backwards, like that other car that Ethan made fun of. What was going on in that?
We were just driving. We passed. I don't know. We went through Michigan, and then we had to go through Ohio. I don't know where we were going. I was just following my GPS, but everything came to a dead stop in front of us. And I looked at my GPS, and it was just like catastrophic accident. And I was just like, "There's no way I'm getting stuck for more than 10 minutes in a standstill on the highway." So I just whipped around and went around. But
yeah, Ethan on time for his Twitch live stream that night.
We had a motor, dude. It was, I think it was 12 hours we were in the car. So I'm just not getting stuck in traffic. I got too much of a temper for that.
I mean, you're the walking weapon. I mean, I wouldn't want to be stuck in front of you or behind you in traffic. So, what has been your favorite travel moment in wrestling? It doesn't have to be with Ethan Page. It can be whatever you want. Favorite moment.
I think my fondest travel moment would be the first time I flew to England, which was with Ethan Page. It was just so much of like my early travel memories are either the first time we got on a flight together. That was the first time we ever got flown anywhere to wrestle. It was together. First time I went to England was with him. But maybe just to make it different, I'll say last year in Philadelphia, it's the first flight I took when I crossed the border again once I got my work visa after being completely locked out of America for years. It was so nice to walk up to customs and drop that thing on the counter and be like, "Yeah, I'm going to wrestle. What are you going to do about it?" "Nothing." "Oh, okay, sweet." You know.
You were going to give him a chop, or I don't know what your finishing move is, but you're going to do something to them.
I mean, there was no way they weren't letting me in America because I had the paperwork to say I could. So.
Well, nice. Who is your favorite? You don't have to play favoritism. Like you don't have to say Ethan, but if it is, it's fine. Who's your favorite person on the Impact roster?
Well, I can be different for this.
Here, I'll even change it up. Favorite tag team on the roster, favorite female talent, and favorite male.
Okay, favorite tag team, I'll go with Wentz and Dez. Because I like Wentz. Sorry, Dez. Male, I'll go for Jake Something. And female, Kylie Ray.
Nice. Those are some really nice picks. Unfortunately, this was supposed to be one of the greatest events happening during WrestleMania weekend, Ethan Page's Body Guy Extravaganza. And you were in a four-way match against Jake Something, Chris Dickerson, and Eric Stevens, and it was supposed to be a farewell match. Why do you hate Eric Stevens so much?
I don't hate Eric Stevens.
But
is that working its way around?
What?
Oh, because I said good that he's retiring?
Yeah.
Oh, I was just making a joke. I'm just being a smart ass.
Oh,
I just look forward to him getting fat and showing me what ridiculous foods he's eating, rather than telling me how many miles he's running.
With COVID-19 ending, what has your home gym looked like and your workout regimen?
My workout regimen's pretty much stayed the same. It's locked into I do a lot of deadlifting and squatting mainly because I have torn muscles all over my body that keep me from doing anything else. But I managed to buy an elliptical. I have a squat rack with a barbell and a bunch of weight, and I bought a universal machine so I can do like some cable work. But it's pretty bare bones, but it's gotten me through this tough time because working out to me is just it's like a therapy. It's something that just puts my mind at ease every day if I get to do it. So if I didn't have that, I'd probably be going crazy.
Now, in your gym, you have a DVD player and you have a bunch of wrestling DVDs. Some people like to watch TV. Some people like to listen to music. Some people just do what they have to do and then they're done. Um, what made you watch DVDs while working out in your home gym, your basement?
I'm always watching wrestling. There was a time where I was doing at least 6 hours of cardio a week, and I would just put stream on my phone and watch wrestling 6 hours a week of different matches, and it's just a habit that I've had. I love watching everything, so like my DVD wallet down there, it's all DVDs from when I was early in my wrestling career, when I was a fan before that. I have a ton of Impact pay-per-views, WWE pay-per-views. I have Ring of Honor DVDs like crazy. Some might have even South stuff from the early 2000s. Like, I've been enjoying going back and watching that older stuff and seeing like the early years of Roderick Strong, or people that have come and gone, like Eric Stevens, and come back. So, but yeah, it's just my motivation is wrestling. So if I watch wrestling, it's just going to help my workouts even more.
Now, the other day on your social media, you said you saw the craziest bump ever, and it was all I know was Kane and another dude. I don't know who the other guy was.
Shane.
But they went over the top rope, and it's the craziest bump ever, in your opinion. Are you ever going to try to recreate that moment?
No, I'm pretty much all filled up on my ability to land on my head, so definitely not going to do that myself because he went straight down on his dome. But yeah, no.
I mean, he was bald too. No offense.
Yeah.
Quarantine, right?
It would look the exact same if I fell out too. Yeah. No, it was just like a weird thing because Kane used to just go backwards over the ropes all the time, land on his feet, and be like, "I'm fine, bitch." What? But this thing, like, the one time he goes backwards over the ropes, he just forgot how to do it out of a million times, and it just fell straight on his head. I was surprised he wasn't hurt. Like, he dodged a bullet, dude. Like, that's a long fall.
Now, if you want to hear a little funny story, I'm 16 years old, and I've been a wrestling fan for almost 10 years now. And the other day, I went to an open house because there's a wrestling school in Connecticut, which is like another state over from me, Massachusetts. And I was told to exit out of the ring in 4 different ways: go over, through the ropes, jump to the floor, or go through the middle rope, or just jump over the top rope. I did not realize how hard those ropes are really tight because it looks so easy, and I have way more respect for everyone. I had respect, just to clarify, but I give you guys props. You get put through hell in wrestling, but it's a good thing at the end of the day.
I think I had a training school for a year this past year, and I think wrestling is one of the hardest things to do. I've had, you can ask Moose. He's an NFL athlete. He came into wrestling. Yeah, exactly. He played for whoever that guy is with that. What's his name? Peyton Manning or whatever. And no, so are you a Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan now?
No. Excuse me for my language, but fuck the Buccaneers. I hate them. Tom Brady is he did well in New England for the last 20 years. As much as I want to hate him, he did a lot for us in New England.
I think you're in a tough position to hate Tom Brady.
Yeah.
If anybody does, that'd be.
If it was like someone else that like only won one Super Bowl for us, then I would hate them all together because they sucked, or I wouldn't care. But it's Tom Brady. It's the GOAT.
Exactly.
Are you a football fan?
No, my brother-in-law's a huge Patriots fan, so I want to buy him a Buccaneers jersey now because I mean your whole team went to the Buccaneers, so
Whoa. It's only two people, and
two pretty key people.
This shit is over, my friend. It was good talking to you. No. Yeah. To get off that topic, I'm not a Buccaneers fan. I like to be a home team person. As much as I would like to switch over, and I have a feeling that the Buccaneers will make it to the Super Bowl this year, seeing that they got a lot of talent. I'm sticking with the Patriots. I don't think we're number one contenders, but we're still in the playoff picture. Somehow, someway.
We'll revisit this after the season then.
Yeah, I'll call you on Skype at the last week 17. I'll be like, yo man, remember that interview? We talked about football.
Yeah. Hopefully the Patriots aren't 0-16 or whatever.
We're not going 0-16. Absolutely not. Like that,
right.
Maybe 1-15.
Yeah.
We're gonna get at least one win. So anyway, back to wrestling. When I asked you for this interview, you were doing a Twitch stream, and you butchered my name. I mean, you butchered it. Like you
Did
said,
I?
Yes. You even admitted it too. Do you remember what you said?
No.
I do. You said, Batoyo's boy.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and you were like, sorry for butchering your name. And then I corrected you. Has there ever been, besides me, other interesting names that you had to pronounce on live streams before?
Absolutely. And I pretty much say them all wrong. So that's why I couldn't come up with what I I don't know. I say things wrong. I'll own it, but yeah. Sorry. I apologize. Bootio's boy.
Mm-hmm. There you go. And then wrestling fan at the end, but it's okay. So you're in a pretty good spot in your career right now, and I'm not asking you to shit on Impact right now. I'm not. But is there any place? It can be a major company, or it can even be on the independent scene that you want to wrestle or maybe be signed with.
Japan.
Yeah. Like
that's
New
it. Like
or other Japan.
I mean, New Japan would probably be the best place in Japan, but I'll take Noah. I've wrestled the Noah heavyweight champion. Well, I don't think he's heavyweight champion now, but I've wrestled Kato Kiyomiya a few times. I just want to wrestle in Japan. It's been my lifelong dream. I've wrestled for 15 years. I've never done it. And when this COVID thing hit, the only thing that I would regret not doing if my career were to end right now is something that I thought about. And that's the one thing, wrestling in Japan. I've never been someone that dreamt of being the main event at WrestleMania or anything like this. I just want to wrestle in Japan.
You said that you and Ethan always watched TNA Extreme since the beginning of it. Was being a part of the TNA one of your dreams, or has it always been Japan? I mean, it will always be Japan, but have you seen it yet?
No, I set like weird goals when I was wrestling. So I was a huge fan of Ring of Honor. So I always wanted to be in Ring of Honor, but I was also a huge fan of Impact. So like I always wanted to be in Impact too. Like I just never thought it would happen. I thought, how many times I thought my career was over from a perspective of being able to be on the television company or whatever. But, it happened. And now Ethan Page, like, we'll look at each other sometimes and be like, because it doesn't hit us that, like, this is, like, a point of, like, fame or whatever. But, like, to put it in perspective, like, somebody will come up to me and say something and they'll be super nervous. I'll be like, dude, calm down. Like, there's nothing different than like usual. And then he'll walk away and Paige will be like, dude, it's like how would you talk to Robert Roode in 2007? And I'm just like, oh, I guess like that's how people look at it. So like that's how we look at being an Impact. Like I'm Bobby Roode and he's Showtime Eric Young in Team Canada right now. Like it's just crazy to us.
Now, who is the brains and the bronze of the North?
Probably all me. Ethan Page is just the looks, obviously. He's the mouthpiece for sure. I think we share in the brains. If something legitimately pisses him off, he can be the brawn. But I carry that weight most of the time. And he just never shuts up. So, yeah, he talks a lot. So I let him carry that one.
Yeah, you're the quiet. You're just the muscle, and he's the talker. And gets in.
We call it the strong, silent type.
Can you tell us the emotions that went on in your mind and when you were signed to Impact? You were at Destiny Wrestling, and Scott D'Amore came out with a contract. You thought it was a joke because they called you to the ring. I watched the video. And tell us the emotions that went on when you found out you're getting signed.
I mean, initially it was shock. I was just like, I can't believe this is happening. But then I looked, like my wife comes to every Destiny show. So I looked over and I saw my wife and she was like going crazy. And I realized that this is just a moment that like is going to define my life. Because I know I'm good enough to be an Impact. I know that once I get to Impact, I'm going to do crazy things and my career is going to go like exactly the way I've always dreamt it would. It was just getting the spotlight to do that. So in that moment, I just wanted to soak it in. Because that's a life-defining moment that happened to me in that ring, and just the fact that people post it online, like, and I can relive it one day when I want to look back on my career or show my kids, like it's awesome.
Can you tell us why your match against Michael Elgin at CZW? Why do you hate that match so much?
Because it's the worst match I've ever been in of all time, and I appreciate you bringing it up.
Well, you made fun of the Patriot thing, so that's my point.
Yeah. Oh no, it's fine. It would take me hours to get to you if I really wanted to, so you'd have a good head start. No, it's the worst match of all time. I was brand new in wrestling, and early in my career, I was very raw, like anybody else would be, but I was talented. Michael Elgin saw that I could do anything he wanted me to do, and I would listen to him because I was naive. So he brought me to Philadelphia for a pre-show match. We were told to go 5 minutes. And I'm like, okay, 5 minutes. It was a quick, easy match. And he pulled me aside and said, fuck that. We drove all this way. We're stealing the show. And I was just like, well, what am I going to do? I have to drive home with this guy for like 9 hours after this. I'm not going to just like let him pin me off of a shoulder tackle because there's going to be 17 of those at the start of this match for the first 5 minutes. So what am I going to do? I guess I'm going to take all these moves and then, get knocked out by 4 forearms. But like, so that's what I did. And I came to the back and I had every CZW veteran at the time, which were all very notable names that I respected and still do, come up to me and tell me how bad it was and tell me not to get down on myself because it's the toughest crowd in the world to wrestle in front of. And they shit all over me. And from that moment on, a year into my career in 2006, I think it was, I just decided I wasn't going back to America until I was ready, till I could use that exposure to better myself and better my career. And I didn't until I was ready. And, it was a really good lesson. But dog shit match. Dog shit.
So you technically put the lockdown on yourself for not coming to America ever again?
Yeah, I was scarred for probably 6 years after that.
That's pretty sad. No offense, man.
It was a good lesson because a lot of people, they would come out and if I came out, kept coming and kept shit in the bed like that, people might have looked at me in a different light. But I waited 6 years. I wrestled all these top names from the independents in Canada where nobody could see me. And then by the time I showed up in America, people were like, holy, where did this guy come from? You know what I mean? It was just a different perspective.
Now, my first match, and because I'm not a professional wrestler, um, in my high school match, but I was like maybe 12. My first ever match was against a girl, and I got sat on by her, and the match was over in like maybe 30 seconds. So, I mean, it's not the same, but like just to make you feel better about yourself. I mean, we kind of gone through the same thing, but differences.
So are you gonna start wrestling again, or are you just gonna stay out for 6 years?
Well, I only have like 3 more years of high school wrestling, so I'm gonna rise above it. So.
Good. That's what you got to do. Everything is a lesson, you know.
Now, I don't want to sound like a super fan because I wouldn't classify myself that. Just the information that I came up for you. You have had 392 wins and 329 losses. How out of the 320 the 29 losses, how many of those should have been wins?
Well, I'm just gonna. This is cageside.com or whatever.
Yes, cagematch.com.
Yeah, okay. That is the worst reporting of all time because I have kept track of most of my matches and I have had well over 1,200 matches. So if you do the math on that win and loss, not even close to accurate. I don't know who's doing this reporting or who hasn't updated the website, but whatever.
They're
I've
from
probably
Germany.
lost.
The thing said, "Oh, this website uses cookies." So, and we're sorry to bother you to tell that, but we're from Germany. It said, and I'm like, okay.
Oh, all right. Well, that makes sense. I maybe have no idea who I really am, but I've probably, I've had like 12 or 1,300 matches in 15 years, and I've lost the majority probably. And I actually like losing more than I like winning a lot of the time. It's just much easier.
What has been your favorite tag team slash stable? Once again, this is from CageMatch.com. There's 10 teams that showed up. Two of them are the same one, just different names. The North and Monster Mafia, with you and Ethan.
I would have to say the North. I have forgotten every other tag team I've been put into, including the Pro Stars and Le Tigre and Blue Steel and whatever else is listed on that list.
Yeah. Oh, there's something that's like I think it's like lay sex or something. I don't know. That was on Cage Match.
Club Sex
Club sex. Yep, that's what it's. Who
or
the hell
X's.
came up with that name?
I was
I,
like 3 years in. Somebody paid me $20 to be part of this group. I'm not the writer, dude.
no, I definitely know. If you were the writer, would you have come up with that name or not?
No, absolutely not. But I'm not a creative guy like that.
Ethan Page, on the other hand, he's a creative guy.
Yeah, nonstop creativity.
I mean, has he ever told you to do anything? I mean, he's the promoter and the booker of Alpha One, but what are the weirdest things that he's told you to do for Alpha One?
I mean, coming out of retirement was probably the weirdest thing he ever told me to do because I was super scared and nervous and probably wouldn't have done it if he didn't make me. Uh, that would be it. There's no weird things. He's he's great. Like as a booker, he has great ideas all the time. And even if I don't see where it's going, I just trust him because I know at the end of it, it's going to be insane.
Now, you have also been called the Rogue Josh Alexander in Alpha One, if I'm correct.
Ronin.
Rowan? Oh, well, I messed that one up. What exactly does that mean? I thought it was the Rogue, and I know going rogue is just like that. But what is the Ronin?
Ronin is it's like a samurai without a affiliation or a group. He's a lone warrior. So early in my career, my trainer gave me that moniker because he wanted me to be somebody that like is just a plain wrestler that respects everything and but is a badass. But it didn't translate to people understanding it. It was just something to put on a t-shirt. You know what I mean?
Gotta make merch somehow.
Yeah.
even if it's just a white T-shirt or a black T-shirt, or it could just be a sticker. I don't know.
I mean, I got a cool design from my creative tag team partner for a T-shirt, but I never sold much merch for the first, I don't know, 14 years of my career. So
That Elgin match, wasn't it?
yeah, it just soured me on everything. I'm lucky I'm still around.
Speaking of designs, you have tattoos that I see, and everyone has seen your tattoos because you wear a singlet. What are some of the tattoos on you mean? What made you get those tattoos?
Everything kind of has a reason behind it. Some of it's just because I like the stuff. Like I have a UFO on my arm because I like aliens and crazy stuff like that. I have a key on my forearm, if you can see that kind of. Yeah, and there's a lock on my wife's forearm. So that unlocks the key with whatever. It's just a thing for my wife, as well as this, because this is a panda skull. And my nickname for her is a bear, and she's the panda bear because she's Chinese. This is the War of the Worlds alien, because my father used to make me listen to the War of the Worlds audio tape from the 1950s when I was 4 years old, and it terrified me.
Oh, I don't even know what that means, so I'm just nodding my head.
Yeah. War of the Worlds is a movie with Tom Cruise about aliens. But before that, it was a book on tape. Well, not really a book on tape. It was a radio broadcast that they played without telling people it was fiction. And at the time, in like the 30s or 40s, when they listened to this, they thought aliens were actually invading the Earth, and it caused mass hysteria. So it's really popular. You should check it out.
I'll look into it.
Yeah.
What else can we talk about? What's on? Oh, you wrestled at Limitless Wrestling. I went to a show one time. You faced one of my favorite tag teams on the Independents, the Mainstay Posse. Unfortunately, you came up short, but I watched the highlight video on it, and at the beginning, it's you and Danger Kid, and you're just shoving each other. Why?
It's a fight. I'm a pretty aggressive guy. I like to set the tone when I get into a match and just remind everybody that they're going to have to be physical too, or I'm just going to run over them. So, I mean, you saw the end result.
Yeah. Now, one thing that I remember from the vlog is you're getting ready for a match, and you had a water bottle, and you put water on your hands. Then you touched your ass, and you say, "That's how you keep your ass cheeks tight." Is that where'd you find that out? Because I'm very interested.
All right, I'm gonna give you. This is okay.
We like to have fun on. So.
Your singlet will wedgie up your butt, and it will expose your ass cheeks if it's not wet. Some people depend on sweat for this. I sometimes don't sweat in my ass cheeks, so I wet my singlet in my ass so it sticks to my ass cheeks, thus not exposing myself to the paying fans. You're welcome, everyone.
I mean, I don't get that many views, but I mean, we appreciate you for telling information on how you keep your buttocks very tight. Has there ever been any mishaps during a match, like wardrobe malfunctions?
None for me, other than showing my ass cheeks when I didn't wet my ass. I mean, I've suplexed a guy before, and he had loose gear, and everything fell out.
Oh.
But it's never happened to me. I've always made sure to be a professional and keep everything locked up tight.
Good to know. It's great information.
It was a big concern early in my career.
What is the craziest bump that you have taken in your career?
I took a reverse run off the top rope at AEW in 2013. That hurt a lot. That would probably be it. Yeah. I've taken that move a million times since, but never hurt myself. But that one I thought my whole career flashed before my eyes. So.
Was that before or after the Michael Elgin match?
Oh, well after. The Michael Elgin match was 2006. You were just like, you were probably 3 years old back then, still playing with a rattle or something, right?
I don't really remember. I was born in 04, so I was.
Yeah, you were 2. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what I was doing. From 1 year old to maybe about 8. I don't remember. From 9 years old and on.
Yeah. So you've only been really alive for 7 years.
I never thought of it like that.
You remember? Yeah. There you go.
So how long have you been alive then?
I remember everything.
According to CageMatch.com, you're 69 years old.
Yeah. Well, that would be correct by CageMatch.com.
From Europe, Germany.
Yeah, I'm 33 years old, and yeah, I don't know. I'm an old man.
Besides making it to Japan, like you said, you don't want to be at WrestleMania. That's never been your dream. What else is on the agenda of the walk-in weapon Josh lives in?
My only goal is to be remembered when I'm gone now. I've known people that have come and gone in wrestling, and 2-3 months later, you forget that they were ever a part of the wrestling business. I want to make a mark in the wrestling business that is never forgotten. So whether that is as a member of one of the best tag teams of all time or something else, that's just I want to have a legacy, I guess.
Well, you made a mark in my mind because you taught me how to keep your everything tight in wrestling.
I hope you do it before your amateur wrestling matches.
If you want, I mean, it might be weird, but like, I can get someone to tape it. I would be like my own version of the vlog. I'd be like,
do it.
All right,
bet. We can start a movement.
Yes, let's do it. The what would
hashtag wet ass.
That might have been already, but we can try.
Yeah.
Should we get Ethan involved on this trend too?
He would never partake in that. He's got a sweaty ass though. He doesn't need to do it.
Wow. This has been fun. Which leads me into the next question. You've been drinking a lot of that water. I think it's water. How much water is in that thing? Because you've taken like maybe 20 sips now.
We use liters in Canada because gallons are silly. But this is 2 liters. So 2 of these would be a gallon, I think, and that's what I try to drink every day.
Now, since you just said and we talked about it, you're from Canada, and in Canada there's a very famous food. I said it wrong the other day, and I'm not going to say what I said. You might get the head. It's pronounced poutine, which is fries. Am I right, or did I say it wrong?
Poutine.
Oh, you said it with
like poo. Well, you can say poutine.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
But I said something else. Instead of teen, there's a tang at the end of it. So, yeah, and I butchered that the other day. It's all on camera.
It's delicious. It's not something I eat anymore. I ate every day for lunch in high school, though.
Why is that a famous thing in Canada?
I don't know. We have maple syrup and poutine. That's what we're known for, apparently. But it's good. I mean, it's like a comfort food.
One thing that you can be known for is one of the greatest tag teams alive, the North, Ethan Page, and Ethan Page played by Julian and the Walking Weapon, Josh.
Yeah, there we go.
So when wrestling comes back, what's on the agenda first for you?
My schedule is completely open. So I got a new phone like a month ago, and I didn't even bother updating what my calendar had in it for bookings. So I don't have any bookings. If wrestling comes back, I would love to just fill that calendar again because I was I was pretty much full up at least 2 or 3 a weekend for the next year. So I want to get back to that. I
I
want to
mean,
be busy.
it's kind of sad to say, yay for COVID, but also boo for COVID. Because it's effed up a lot of people's lives. But because of COVID, I'm able to do this with you right now, this interview. Let's see, what else can we talk about? What has been the strangest encounter with a fan that you've had in your whole entire wrestling career?
Let's say this moment right now between you and I.
Why?
I don't know. You're talking about wetting your ass cheeks and getting all weird with me, and then.
Oh, that's whoa. I brought it up because Ethan exposed you on his vlog.
I'm just kidding.
No,
I don't know. I don't have any bad interactions with fans. I don't know. It's very seldom that one would happen, but in the moment, like I never remember or hold on to any memory of this stuff. So if something bad happens to me, like people will have to remind me on Twitter, hey, remember that thing that happened? I'll be like, oh yeah. I don't know what it is with me. I just like decompress and it's gone. I couldn't tell you.
wear this, so the headgear, and you can't hear from it. So.
Yeah. I could never wear that headgear. That is the ugliest headgear of all time. Aesthetically,
What?
it might be super comfortable,
It is.
but if I were to wear that, I would look even more silly than I do wearing the one I have.
The one that you have with like the padding in front of it, and like it's more. I don't even know what the shape of it is. It like really like tugged my face and it like tightened it, and I didn't look like my normal self anymore. So especially when I would get pinned, my face just went all up, and I didn't look like my regular self. So
They've since I've been in contact with Cliff Clean, and they discontinued that headgear that I wear. So now I'm stuck wearing the exact same pair of headgear forever, and hoping that it never goes bad.
is it washable at least?
No, come on, just whatever.
All right. Well, you heard it here, folks. If you ever wrestle with Josh Alexander, his headgear is not clean.
That's definitely the least of your worries because you're wrestling me, and I'm gonna hurt you.
You know what? Let's make it happen. I'm not a train. We can either do amateur wrestling, I'll have the advantage, or we can do professional wrestling, and you'll have the advantage.
You think you'll have the advantage? It's really nice. You're really you sure you're not an all ego fan? Really? Are you baiting me with this?
What? I mean, I'm a huge fan, and we'll talk after this because I think you might tell where I'm going with that.
Yeah.
So we'll talk after it. And we only got like a couple minutes left anyway. But what else can we talk about? I'm trying to think.
What's your favorite movie?
So, my favorite movie. I like sports movies, so I think my favorite sports movie is probably Vision Quest. It's an amateur wrestling thing, and it's about a guy. Yeah. Have you heard of it?
Who's in that movie? Somebody famous is in that. You don't even know who's in it? It's your favorite movie?
I don't know everyone by name.
Okay, sports movies. Okay, you're already way off. Remember the Titans? Vision Quest is not better than Remember the Titans.
Vision Quest. It came out in 1985. It's a sports/drama movie. The guy that was like the main person was Matthew Modine.
Modine.
He wore a sauna suit, and I have a sauna suit, and I act like I'm him sometimes when I go for a run.
Well, there you go. I've never seen the movie. I know Matthew Modine is in it, and I know that Joe Rogan has made fun of that movie from time to time.
Did you just say Matthew is dead?
No, he's in it.
Oh.
I've never. He's dead. He could be. I don't know.
I can mail you the copy of the movie if you want.
No, that's all right. Fine. I'll watch Any Given Sunday or Remember the Titans if I want to watch a sports movie.
Well, those are football movies. Did you do football when you were in high school?
We don't have football at all Canadian schools because they're very expensive programs to have. And football is not the sport of choice up here. It's hockey. I didn't play that either because it's also super expensive. And
Wait, so what sports do you have in Canada?
we have everything, but like where I lived, we didn't have a football program, so that wasn't an option. We played rugby. I played rugby, volleyball, basketball, did track, but basketball was my sport. It still is. It's the only sport I watch and keep up with.
Very touching. You have a lot of words of wisdom, even though you didn't say anything like that. I'm just trying to talk right now. I'm trying to fill up the rest of this time right now. All right. So you have gyms in Canada, correct?
No.
You do, right? Like.
Yes.
Okay. Do you have you gone? Were you going to the gym when you weren't wrestling with Impact or indie bookings? Were you going to the gym like a regular person? Do you think? Well, you kind of have pretty much a whole gym. You have a cardio machine, you have a weight, and you have the universal thing you have. So you pretty much you don't have a whole gym, but you have a majority of the one. Um, do you think you'll find yourself going back to a gym, or are you all set with your home gym?
The first day the gym is open, I don't care if I have to wear a hazmat suit. I will be at that gym because it is a different environment than being in my basement. I come home and I need to go work out. I have to walk past my very comfortable couch and my super hot wife to ignore her and go downstairs and work out. Whereas if I just went to the gym, I would have none of these options in front of me. So I can't wait. That's what I'm saying.
Now, I know your wife isn't here right now, but she's a professional wrestler too. And one of the vlogs, she returned to Alpha One Wrestling, and she took one of the most. You can kind of like talk for her. She took a very crazy bump, and it was like a moonsault off the top rope, if I'm correct. And the way she landed, she hit her head on the like under the turnbuckle, if I'm correct.
The apron.
Yes, the apron. She okay?
I mean, she's physically fine. I don't think the emotional abuse that I have since, inflicted on her, reminding her of that moonsault every single day of her life is gonna, that'll leave permanent scarring. But other than that, yeah, she's fine. She's insane. That was the second backflip she's ever done.
Oh.
She just went to the top rope and was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I just really did. She just fell backwards. And it worked, but she's just nuts.
Have you two ever been a tag team?
No, she managed me at an independent show one time. And, since she got pregnant and had children, and we haven't had the opportunity to do it, but hopefully we'll get to do it again in the future.
Nice. Well, is there anything that you would like to ask me? Because I've completely run out of topics.
No, it's fine. I have to get going soon to put my child to sleep. But, I asked you what your favorite movie was. You had a lame answer for that. What can I ask you? Who's better, me or Ethan Page?
Well, because Ethan never responds to my messages on his Facebook page, like his actual Ethan Page. I'll say you because you responded. You left me open that one time, but we're not going to get into that. But
I never do these. Okay.
You don't.
This is the third one I've done in 3 years.
Wow. So you're a big talker, I would say, right?
I am. I'm just don't usually. So
Is there anything that you would like to? Final question. What is your diet like before quarantine and during quarantine?
For the past 5 years, I did pretty much keto, whatever people consider to be keto. I just didn't eat rice, pasta, bread, anything like that. I would just eat vegetables and meat with every meal, and it worked enough. Uh, but I've since kind of plateaued, and I've looked the same for probably 3 years. And I work hard in the gym. I want to see results, so I hired a nutritionist over quarantine, and he has made me eat rice or oatmeal or potatoes with every single meal. And miraculously, I've lost weight and gotten in better shape. So my diet it's pretty balanced, actually.
Well, good for you, man. You got a nutritionist. I'm surprised you didn't go with one of your current roster partners, Jordan Grace, who's a personal trainer.
Is she?
Yeah, it's all on her social media. I get notifications every day.
I'm sure she's very busy. Yeah.
So anyway, man, thanks for doing this. Thanks for your time. Is there anything that you would like to promote?
I mean, just pro wrestling tees / Josh Alexander, walking_weapon on Instagram and Twitter, and follow Impact Wrestling because, I mean, I'm bound to be a part of it.
Well, thanks for your time. I appreciate it. Please remember to like, comment, share, subscribe. Follow him on all his social medias. And join us in the wet ass movement to be started soon. Thanks for watching, everyone. See you in the next one.